Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to Living It Up Raw. And today is going to be all about this, the Moto Morini Seiemmezzo. In case you're wondering what the hell does that mean, it just means 6.5, indicating the cubic capacity of this motorcycle. And no points for guessing the language. It has to be Italian. I mean, look at this thing. It has Italian written all over it. I love the way this looks. Very stylish, very proportionate. It's quite a head turner. And to match the looks, it also comes with some really high-end componentry, starting with you have fully adjustable KYB forks at the front. You have a KYB monoshock which is adjustable for preload as well as rebound. At the front, you have these huge 298mm twin discs, so phenomenal stopping power, at least on the paper. You have tubeless spoke wheels. You get Pirelli dual-purpose tires. And you also get adjustable levers, which is of course always appreciated. And then you have a TFT dash, Bluetooth connectivity. You also get a tire pressure monitoring system as standard, which is not something which is common, especially for a motorcycle in this segment. And of course, at the heart of it, you have a liquid cooled paddle twin motor which pumps out 55 horses, 54 Newton meters of torque and power, which you only have yourself to rely on because it doesn't come with traction control or riding modes. So it's an old school bike, which I honestly don't mind. In fact, I'm quite looking forward to see how she goes. The first thing you notice on this is the exhaust note. Can you hear it? Reminds me so much of the Ninja 300, especially when it's screaming up top. Makes for a really engaging experience. But yeah, as far as performance goes, this only makes 55 ponies and weighs in at 215 kgs wet. So yeah, it clearly doesn't have the punch in your face kind of acceleration. But I like the feel of the engine. It's really smooth, it's really refined. Yeah, there is a little bit of buzz which creeps in on the pegs around 5500 RPM, but yeah, as I continue revving, they settle down, which is great. Which means this can easily do 135 kilometers comfortably on the highway all day long. And the other benefit of this kind of smooth and easy power delivery is the fact that this is very unintimidating. So it's a boon for new riders who are looking at this as their first big bike. But yeah, from that perspective, Moto Morini definitely need to fix the fueling because the on-off throttle transitions are quite snatchy. And that in turn will actually also help with the tractability. This actually has a decent amount of low end in the third gear. You can ride around everywhere in the city. You can go over speed bumps without needing to downshift. And better fueling lower down will also help, you know, to wipe off the juddering which happens when you're first releasing the clutch in the third gear. The gearbox is also quite smooth, but yeah, it can be a little more precise because when we were shifting from first to second, a couple of times it went to neutral. Other than that, I love the brakes. Really strong braking performance even with these dual purpose tires, and it's better still with normal street tires. I feel, yeah, the tires were also the reason why I was holding back in these corners. because of the block pattern you don't have as much of an edge grip. But yeah, other than that and the fact that you scrape the pegs quite easily, this is actually a lot of fun in corners. You have a nice wide handlebar which makes it very easy to tip the bike in corners. And the suspension chassis also worked well once we had dialed in the suspension. But yeah, talking about that, I feel the front is really soft and can definitely do with more rebound damping, because even after dialing in all the rebound that we had, the rebound rate was still very, very high. And compared to the front, the rear is a lot stiffer. So first I thought this was done on purpose because this is a scrambler, this will also go off-road. But really this is not really meant to go off-road because it doesn't have enough suspension travel. You only have 120 mm travel at the front and back, which is not enough for going off-road. And the suspension setup also has a straight impact on the ride quality on the road, because I expected this to be a lot more plush than it is. On the practical side, you have really nice and upright ergonomics. The seat is well padded. The clutch is nice and light despite not being a slipper clutch. You have backlit switches, which is awesome. You also have 170 mm of ground clearance at your disposal. And if you ride sedately, you can also get about a 220 kilometer range from this 15.5 litre tank. Also, in terms of heat, it did not really heat up as much, so that was not really an issue. But I think the more important question is it worth its 7 lakh rupee price tag? Now you can argue that this obviously has also the componentry, right? Like your fully adjustable suspension, you have spoked tubeless wheels, dual purpose tires, the tire pressure monitoring system. But here's the thing, you can't really utilize the wheels completely because this is not really an off-roader. And also in terms of the suspension, that requires still a little bit of refinement. And then when you compare it to the other competitors in the same price range, like for example, the more retro looking Kawasaki Z650 RS, that is more powerful, that is lighter and is priced similarly. And then there's also the question of Moto Morini being completely new in India, so we are not very sure about its reliability, something which has always been the cornerstone of Kawasaki. But having said that, if Moto Morini can iron out all of these chinks in terms of the fueling and refine the suspension, it definitely packs a lot of potential. And even with all of these flaws, I think there'll be so many people who'll be wanting to go for it just for the way it looks.